Welcome. I'm Barbara Marcum, the Director of Senior Resources for the City of Westland, and today we're going to do a special update on the COVID boosters. With me today is our Fire Chief, James Morris. He's not just our Fire Chief, he's also the head of our COVID response team and our emergency management team for the City of Westland, and I know you've been really busy the last year and a half, so thanks for being with us today.
Thank you for having me, Barb. Happy to be here.
Oh, good. Well, let's talk about the COVID booster. I know a lot of people have been waiting to hear about that. So is there new information about the booster?
There is. So they are rolling out the boosters, and they are much more widely available now than they were when they initially rolled out. So Pfizer is really taking the lead, open to much more wide range of individuals, and Moderna is much more restricted, and the Johnson & Johnson is kind of still behind, and the data regarding that booster shot is not available just yet.
Okay, so let's talk about the Pfizer first. Okay, so the Pfizer booster, and you and I were discussing this prior to the show, there are two categories. Okay, and what are those categories for the Pfizer? Can you elaborate on those?
Sure, they're really breaking it down into the individuals that should receive the vaccine and the ones that may be eligible for the vaccine.
Okay, so who should get the vaccine?
So just make sure that I don't get it wrong. We'll get a little reference sheet here. So the ones that should get the vaccine are for those that are 65 and older, the ones that are in long-term care settings, and those that are 50 to 64 with underlying medical conditions.
Okay, so those people should get the vaccine. Who could get the vaccine or who may get the vaccine?
Correct. So those who may get the vaccine are going to be the 18 to 49-year-olds with underlying medical conditions again, the 18 to 64-year-olds with increased risk due to occupational settings like teachers, institutional settings, and really the essential employees that are exposed to the public on a regular basis.
Like grocery store employees, we went through that whole thing during COVID, the people who are highly exposed to a lot of people.
Correct, and obviously the firefighters and police officers and a lot
Sure.
of the DPS employees and things like that.
That goes without saying, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit. There's a big difference with Moderna. And they're not even recommending that booster to everyone. So let's talk about who would that encompass for the Moderna. Now this is the Moderna, not the Pfizer.
Correct. So we did a lot of the Moderna on our initial vaccine clinics that we had over at Schoolcraft College.
Especially
at
the
Vista Tech.
seniors.
Correct. So
Yeah.
they did receive the Moderna. And Moderna now, as it's released for booster shots, is restricted to those who are immunocompromised, which is a very select group of the population. It's estimated to be about 2.7% of the adult population.
Okay, and those people would include what group? HIV, people who are HIV positive?
Correct. So
or untreated, right?
It's a pretty specific list. Yes,
Okay.
anyone with advanced or untreated HIV, cancer patients, transplant patients, anyone getting active cancer treatments or blood cancer treatments, those with moderate or primary immunodeficiencies, patients being treated with steroids or other drugs that suppress the immune response, and those that have had stem cell transplants in the last 2 years and are taking certain medications.
Okay, so a lot of those immunodeficiencies, those would be, that might encompass a whole group of things. So I would recommend that people would see their primary care physician to ask if they would fall into one of those groups, if they think
For sure.
they would.
Yeah, we don't want to give anybody any wrong advice here, so you always want to follow up with your primary medical
care.
provider and ask if a third dose is going to be appropriate for your situation.
Okay, now this is a big question. A lot of seniors have asked me that, and they said, well, should I get a booster? And because I want to know that because flu season is coming up. So for those people who are concerned about the flu shot, the normal flu shots that they get every year, and the booster, what is the answer to that one?
So the current studies have said that you can get your booster shot and your flu shot concurrently, or you can always get your initial COVID-19 vaccine and your booster shot along with the flu shot. Those things are all being approved at this time, so you can get those at the same time.
Okay, let's talk about the window for, after a certain length of time. When is the best time to get the booster if you're going to get the booster?
So they're recommending that you do at least 6 months from your last dose. That's just to maximize a robust immune response. That way your body knows the exposure to that first vaccine. You give it time to build up that memory, and then when it's exposed again, they say that is the best time to get it.
Okay. We're looking, I know you and I talked about whether or not the city was going to offer vaccines. So, you know, what are we looking at? I know that a lot of our people got the Moderna. How are we looking at that right now?
So we're still evaluating that, seeing what the community demand's going to be. But again, from the initial rollout of all the vaccines, it's much more available now. It's available at CVS, it's available at Walgreens, at Kroger, through your primary care physician. So we're trying to get a good gauge of what the demand's going to be throughout the city. And if we need to, we'll have a clinic and get people in there for their booster shots.
I saw in the news there was a story about mixing the vaccines in California. People were getting the first dose of this and a second dose of something else. So what basically is the ruling there?
So they should stick with the same product. There's no official guidance on switching products at this time, so they want everyone to stick to the initial product, the initial vaccine that they got. So if you got Moderna, stick with Moderna, Johnson & Johnson, and Pfizer, same rules apply.
Okay, great. Is there anything that you think our residents should know before we close this? Because we will keep them up on all of the information that's coming forward. And like you said, this is for now. This is current information. That may change when? Tomorrow?
Correct. It could change as soon as we finish this conversation. So,
right.
Yeah, I want to keep in mind that you are still fully vaccinated if you've received 2 doses of the Moderna, 2 doses of the Pfizer, or the single dose Johnson & Johnson. You're still considered fully vaccinated. And right now there is no vaccines for anyone that is 12 or under.
Oh, yes, that's right. There aren't any approved at this point. So,
Correct.
And that may change shortly
Again,
as
yeah,
well.
that could change as well. They're doing studies and evaluating that as we speak. So.
Okay, well, I'm sure our residents appreciate this update because I know a lot of people ask me questions on a regular basis, and it's nice to be able to keep our residents up to date. So thank you for being with us today, and like I said, we'll keep you all informed. So thank you for being with us today.